if I start to even remotely feel it, she kind of backs away from me because she doesn't want to unnecessarily hurt me. And then sometimes I'll know she's in pain and won't even say anything, and I will intentionally go towards her because I'm hoping that it'll pull some of the pain away from her. I'll take that. I'm good. Like, those are the type of connections that I love having, which is why I don't have a ton of friends because a lot of it just feels surface to me. And my best friend is good at weeding through the surface people. I'm just not. I'm just not. Like, she knows how to, I can be in this crowd of people, I can be social, I can do this, I can do that, and then I can go home and they are never a thought to me again until I see them again, and I can be cordial, and I can't do that. If something about you don't feel right to me, I'm going to sit there and I'm gonna have a look. And I don't want to have a look, but it's just going to be there because something just doesn't feel right. So you always want to have people in your circle who, like I said, that circle needs to be small. I'm talking about Cheerio small. You want to have people in your circle whom you know they can trust you with their feelings and you can trust them with yours. They can trust you with their highs and lows and you can trust them with yours. And for 15 plus years, I've been able to trust one person with anything that was going on with me. And in a matter of maybe an hour, I found a second person that I could trust with what's going on with me to the point where I told this woman my real name. And I typically never tell people my real name. And it was absolutely amazing. And one of the things that came up, and I don't divulge all conversations that I have with my close people to anybody, but I'm going to give you some service information and bring it back. And that way you'll understand where I'm going with this. One of the things that comes up, and it didn't just come up in this conversation, I've had this conversation with other people. Why is it that we don't connect more often like that? Like, why is it so hard, especially for women, for us to connect and have a real connection? You see commercials and videos and shows, and you see all these groups of women in television shows, and it looks like girlfriends, and everybody's happy, and we all love being around each other. And yeah, we have our ups and downs, but we're always a tight knit button. We come right back together. That is a load of crap. It is so hard to really find a group of women that you can really bond with that aren't either looking at you like you're their competition because you're in a field that they're in or they want to be in, and they feel like you're trying to steal their shine or you're trying to take their coin. I say this all the time, and I will continue to say it. What is meant for me is meant for me. You can't take it from me. You can't touch it. You can't try to steal it. Like, what's meant for me is meant for me. And what is meant for you is meant for you. If something is meant for you and you're working towards that thing, I can't snatch that thing out from under you. What is meant for you is going to be meant for you, and what is meant for me is going to be meant for me. And we can help each other build to get there. We can help each other grow. But I'm not trying to snatch your dream and you can't snatch mine. I sit up in my house and I bust my behind. I work hard to make sure that I get these podcasts out. I will be working hard to make sure that my morning shows go good. I work hard to make sure that my music is right. I stayed up until 3 o'clock in the morning listening to every single song that I created because I'm a spoken word artist, but I release my music as spoken word second and I release it as instrumentals first. In the event that somebody else hears an instrumental and decides that they want to use it, because I'm all about helping somebody. So you may want to use the music for, say you got a YouTube show and you need to have background music, and most things are strikes on YouTube because you have to get permission of the original artist in order to play a lot of those things. I have mine already set up to where if you ever hear anything that I've made, there's a little button with the company that I release my music to that I can click on, and they will monitor for my song playing anywhere to make sure that I am properly taken care of because I did sit down and take the time to create that, but you're able to use that. I set that in place right off rip because I know how hard it is to try to find music that you can use. And I've seen videos that are silent because they kept getting strikes for different. I don't just do what I do because I do it for me. I do what I do with the thought of who else can I help when I do it. When I do this podcast, who am I helping? When I create my music, who am I helping? When I sit down to write out my poetry, who am I helping? While I am growing, who am I helping? If we could get that mindset of, I'm doing this so that I can grow. I'm doing this because I love it. I'm doing this so that my family can eat. But also, who am I going to help by doing it? And am I actually willing to help those people? See, I'm willing to help my sister. I'm willing to help my brother. I'm doing what I can in order to make sure that every hurdle I jumped, every brick wall that I ran face first into, I can give you information to keep you, hopefully, from having to jump those hurdles. Maybe instead of jumping them, you can walk around them. Maybe instead of crashing into the brick wall, I can give you a pickaxe so you can just go ahead and knock it down. Wear away at it. You may still have to hit the wall, but maybe your fall won't be as hard as mine. And it's something that I'm probably getting real preachy, and I'm going to continue to be real preachy about, because we have to do better at connecting with each other. As women, we have to do better at uplifting and connecting with each other and helping the next one out. Without thinking, oh, well, if I do this, then she's going to get here. And then what's going to happen to me? You know how many people have come to me and asked me about podcasting? And I could have simply said, well, you have to look up the information. The way I looked up the information, I had to go and I had to look this up, and I had to talk to these people, and I had to figure this out. I could do that because I did have to work really hard to get my first podcast out. Because I had no clue what I was doing. All I knew was I had a story to tell. I had to research some things. I had to go through some stuff. My first podcast, which I do not believe is even, I know for a fact it's no longer available. My first podcast, it sounded like my first podcast. It sounded like the first time I'd ever spoken to anybody. Because I'm very funny about being recorded. I don't like being photographed. I don't like video recordings of me. And every time I say this, people seem to think that there is something wrong with me. I don't actually like the sound of my own voice. So it was very hard for me to edit my podcast because I would have to listen to myself in order to edit them. And I finally got to a point where I actually like the sound of my voice recorded probably more than I like the sound of my voice live. And that right there was not, best friend or self-confidence. That right there was the man's. My other half, my better half, I sent a recording to him and I asked him what he thought, and he reminded me of how much he loves the sound of my voice. And sometimes that's all you really need to hear, is that somebody else thinks that, you know what, that's beautiful, and you need to run with that. And I was like, okay, you're overthinking. You need to just do it. Like, you just need to pick up your phone, start recording, and just do it. I bought this professional microphone. I did all of this stuff and set myself up. Everybody knows it's the only reason why I have an iPhone, because I've never been an iPhone lover or user. I did all of this just so that I could put out my podcast. And I'm still going to be doing things, changing some things, because I want to make it as right as I can for all of you. But I didn't withhold that information of what I went through with other people. When they asked me, well, should I do this? I'm like, oh, no, you don't want to do that. You should probably start here. And see, what I did was, and I'm willing to help. And if they put up their podcast and they're like, you know what, I need somebody else on here, like, I will come on other people's podcasts and talk. If you're set up to where I can talk, I've done co-host on my show, and I want to get back to, because there's a gentleman who's asked to be on here, and there's a couple other people I would love to come on here and talk. Once I get reset up, I'm most certainly going to do that. I have to get another laptop for that, because I was doing all my podcasting and everything from my work laptop, but because I work from home, I don't like anything else being on there. So I'm getting another laptop because something happened to my daughter's, and she has my other one. I gave her that one. So I'm going to get me another laptop, and then that's when I'll go back to having co-host, because I'll be set up through that second laptop. But at that point, if you want to just come on here and talk, just to get used to being on the microphone and figuring out what to say. Because see, I don't mind somebody coming here and fumbling. Because I tell people all the time, if you've ever actually listened to any of my shows, y'all know I talk in circles sometimes. I will stop and pause just to think about what's going on. Like, the reason why I call this Conversations with Elodie, because this is really, if you were sitting here right now, this is the same conversation you're going to get out of me. There are times that I'm going to pause because I have to really think deeply about what I'm about to say. There are going to be times where it'll seem like I just went completely off topic and then I went back to the topic. There have been a couple of times when I've been talking to y'all and I had to run in the kitchen and go and take care of something. Like, I want these conversations to be as real as they get. Like, I want you to listen to this podcast and be like, if I was sitting in the house with her, this is exactly what this conversation would look like. This is exactly what this would feel like. There's been a couple of times where y'all have heard my dog in the background snoring, because he snores loudly when he sleeps, when he gets into that real good sleep. But that's what this is all about, is to give you my real life, to really put out there the things that I've been through, the things that I've learned, and to really just kind of welcome you to a conversation with me. So I don't edit these anymore. I used to get on here and I would edit, oh, I gotta take this out, take that out, oh, well, this was done. I don't edit my podcast anymore. I click record, and what you get is what you get. And if I don't like the direction it's going in, I stop and delete it, and I start over again. And I may start and stop a podcast 10 times before it's like, okay, that is what I want to put out. That's the conversation I wanted to have with you. Just like this one. But again, I said all that to say this. You have to be careful of who you let into your space. But we have to start letting at least a couple of people in so that we can help each other build and help each other grow. So, I went from being that person who had one best friend for years to now opening up my mind to the possibility of having other people around me. Because if there's one real individual in my life, that means there's another real individual out there somewhere. You just have to allow them into your space. So I told this young woman that I spoke to, I was like, yeah, we can talk about whatever. And you know how you tell people, yeah, message me, or yeah. And she caught me off guard because she was like, she's a talker. So she wanted to actually talk instead of, texting. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I'm usually leery of things like that, but I'm like, no, this is cool. After talking to her, I was like, no, there was a reason that connection was made. Because I left that conversation, and if I remember correctly, I actually told her this. She felt like that conversation with her felt like I was talking to a family member that I just haven't seen in maybe a couple of weeks or a couple of days. That was family on that phone call.